And okay, and as usual, the little agenda that isn't really an agenda thingy with all the updates. I'm gonna leave that for people to read on their own. And there's no specific discussion topics this month, so it's really more just questions. And I'd like to kind of go around through the room here with whatever leads are present and have them kind of report in on the status of where they're at. Sorry for kind of putting you on the spot, and if you don't have anything you want to say, then that's fine too. You can just skip out. But whoever wants to lead, probably more since you're on a time crunch. If you could get that started.
Sure. Yeah. This is Morse registration lead. We've got numerous volunteer guides and policies and flows and all that stuff that should make the changes this year a little easier for my volunteers. That's all in the works. The registration party, I believe, is happening next weekend.
Oh my God! How did I
yeah.
forget to put that in the thing? Jesus Christ!
Um,
I forgot to put that
I
in the.
completely forgot about it too. Again.
Is Ghost on here? Is that still happening?
Yes.
Fantastic. And has there been any invites and stuff sent out to the locals?
Yes. In fact, I did send out an invite. I will send out another with a request to RSVP, just so we can get an accurate head count.
Okay, cool.
It is. Yeah, it is. Suffice it to say, just like the con, masks and COVID vaccinations will be checked. They will be required, and they will be checked as practice.
Yep.
Wonderful.
I think the intent is to pretty much have everyone check everyone else's vaccine credential so that everyone gets to practice.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah. So yeah, Reg Party is kind of the first thing on my mind right at the moment, and then also the policies and procedures will be done by Reg Party. At least a pretty solid draft. We may modify if the Reg Party turns up anything that the flow doesn't work or whatever. And then other than that, I've got my volunteers all lined up. It sounds like I've got, I think, 26 this year, 27.
Good.
And yeah, gonna be spinning things up here over the next week or so.
Well, I think we have, I believe we have a total of 18 workstations for our volunteer or Reg volunteers to use. So you might be all hands on deck on Thursday.
I think I will.
You pretty much always are anyway. So that's kind of how Reg works.
Yeah. Plus possibly pre-Reg. Combining forces.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That is just on AtCon registration team. That is not counting anyone from pre-reg yet?
Levi?
Cool.
I believe you are correct. That's not counting pre-reg. I believe the total is much higher, but I'll double check.
Good.
Thank you.
On site, when are you guys setting up reg?
Wednesday.
Evening or during the day?
Day. Because by Wednesday evening, we want to be open for everybody but attendee. So for all upgraded registration levels, we try to be open on Wednesday night.
Okay. I'll still put the gaff gun on the truck, and if it gets there in time, then yay, you guys get to save time on putting gaff tape on the floor.
Okay. Is it pretty intuitive to use if you're not trying to actually capture a cable?
You just have to make sure you have to make sure that the front is contacting the floor. A lot of people try to push it with the front like off the floor, and it doesn't put down the gaff tape correctly when you do that.
Right. Okay. And it does work with the 1/2-inch wide spike tape?
It works with anything you could fit on it. So
okay. So it doesn't get uncooperative when the roll is super narrow.
Yeah, I haven't tried it with 1/2-inch. I've tried it with 1-inch spike tape. So like it should work with 1/2-inch. You might have to put it on the 1-inch tape holder to where it's like off center.
Okay. Worst case, we do it by hand, but hopefully it'll make it faster. So Morse, that's a tool for trying to apply spike tape to the floor. That's the narrow, like, neon stuff that's a lot like gaffer's tape. It's built like gaffer's tape, but it's just narrow, only 1/2 inch wide and fluorescent.
It's literally gaff tape in a different color.
Yeah.
For marking and line delineation and such.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Roger.
I know in previous years you guys have done some amazing things with that spike tape, so please continue to do that.
And I don't know how much spike tape we have, so I think I'm going to just go out and buy a few more rolls instead of trying to figure out how much we have.
Let's move on to the next lead stuff.
Anybody feel like jumping in? I don't need to go in any particular order, so go for it. Whoever wants to go next.
Guess I'll jump in. Sure, why not?
Okay.
IT lead here is Go speaking. Right now, working on the staff badges. Should have those getting in production pretty soon. Hopefully, we can get those in hand within a week or two. And hopefully with components too, not too long after that. But that's second priority.
I have random components, by the way, too.
Oh,
if you want to solid them.
I've also have Menefis next to me here. So let's see. We're getting all the laptops and printers tested on Sunday in preparation for the registration party that's happening at my house. So hopefully all that will be good to go. What else? And I'm meeting with Dave Forbes, which is the IT guy at the GSR. Next week, we're going to do a walkthrough, check out network drops, and figure out what we can do for the network plan for this year.
Okay. And that's Dave. What was his last name again?
Forbes.
Dave Forbes. Okay, same guy as last year.
Yep. He's I'm in communication with him. He's super cool. Good guy.
Yeah, he's
and I also need to figure out
chill guy.
our security solution, because we were gonna do the cameras, but apparently because of our staffing situation right now, we're gonna be relying on their cameras for the art show, I believe. But I still want to use the cameras we have.
But we'll still use our cameras for everything else.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be able to be monitored 24/7 by like Flare, for example. So we might just have to get
the ones in the art show. Like, we'll still have the doors locked. The art show ones are just there for that's a raincoat and umbrella thing.
Yeah, and I think what I will still want to do is get those cameras set up in dealers, so that way they're always recording. That way.
Yes, those are needed, of course. We just we won't need to put them in art gallery because the hotel happens to have built-in ones in that room.
Yeah, correct.
So it's really just extra cameras now.
Yep, and if possible, we'll get that piped to like ConOps or something, so those people can just have a look on it whenever they want.
That would be nice. Yeah, if we can achieve that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think we can do that with VLANs and stuff.
You'll have to set up something for it because we're not usually in a position where we can watch stuff.
It'll just be like a screen off to the side that you can just look at when idle or whatever.
I'll have to go over to Con to see where we can fit things.
Right. Yeah, it'll just be kind of winging it.
Ghost, we probably could put one of our video cameras in dealers or in art gallery. That way we know if there is somehow an intrusion despite the doors being locked.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll be the first.
It doesn't have to have full coverage, right? It would just need to see the room so that we'd know something is there. And then the in-building cameras can cover, like, actually recording it.
Yep, that's fine.
So, yeah.
Hopefully,
stuff that's already in the building, right?
Yeah. Right now, I schedule all that networking stuff to be in place on Tuesday, so that way I can get in there and get things tested, and then hopefully installed by Wednesday.
Yes, please. And when we meet at storage on Sunday, don't let me forget to give you the cameras too, so that you can spin those up and make sure they are also working.
That would be ideal.
Yep.
I'll note that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Ghost, are there any things that we need to test on the Telegram Tracker app before we hit con or anything with Tracker? Because I know you did a lot of work in between cons.
We need testing on Tracker. Good question. I think a lot of that will be done at the Reg Party too, right, Levi?
Yeah. I was just about to say, well, that's typically done it. I was just about to pull up Tracker myself. It's still not working. I'll poke when I can.
Okay.
Like, yeah, something with Concat.
Oh, it's dependent on stuff from Concat that's currently broken.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you, Ghost.
So, yep. Anybody else ready? If not, I can always jump in, but I'm making sure if people are ready, they can go.
Sure, that's fine.
How does that work?
You hold down this key.
Okay. Can you guys hear me or not?
Yes.
Okay. So for decorations, I just started unpacking stuff and trying to figure out what we have, what's working and not. I don't know what the status is with my volunteers, so I'm gonna try to like shake people out, but I'm gonna be starting to work on that, and I might be looking for somebody who can do videos or something like that, or small clips to make fake displays of like electronics or like medical stuff. Anybody wants to do that? Besides that, I'll give you an update when I have more information on what's working and not working and missing.
Are you talking about filming of like real life things when you say video, or are you talking about like synthetically creating graphics or video graphics? Did you catch that?
Towel rack.
I was saying that the displays need to be just fake medical, what do you call that? Medical like signals or electronic signals, that kind of stuff. Fake oscilloscope or fake,
Okay.
bullshit stuff,
Okay,
Something
so
that
what you're
looks
looking
cool.
for is what those people in that industry usually call motion graphics, I believe. Isn't that right, Kay?
What was that?
It sounds like Amenephis is looking for people to create what I know of as the term motion graphics, that are like just video graphics, animated things. I guess it's to put on displays for.
I don't know if I have any people that are doing that, so my fallback is just I'm gonna rip the graphics off the website and make stuff with those, because for the stuff I'm doing, it's all done in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So
Okay, it sounds like Amenephis could use some help building some graphics that are to be integrated into some of his decorations. If you could talk with him about that. Kay, if Mally is on your team this year, I think he's done motion graphics in the past.
Other than the people I've told Clinton to add to my team, I don't know who's on my team, so I need to follow up with Clinton.
Amenephis, I should also mention, if they're useful, we do still have, they're actually at Pony's house right now. We do still have numerous old projectors that Groggy dug out of the trash from his college that he worked at years ago that I still have. They all have convergence problems, though, so their graphics will look like garbage. They'll like red, green, and blue will all be misaligned with each other. So, like that kind of works for this purpose.
Yeah. If you need stuff to play back graphics, I have a bunch of bright signs, and I'm probably not going to use anywhere near all the ones I have. And I'm not opposed to buying more of them. So
that would probably be very useful for Amenephis, yes.
It's a digital sign playback device. I will post in the theming chat a link to the company's pages.
I do have a bunch of like shitty monitors and stuff, and they're going to be mounted randomly. It's going to be like Mad Max style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also have a few monitors too.
Okay, cool. So the main thing is I need to put content on those monitors and have a way to display that content. Yeah, that'd be cool. If I can have the name of people I can contact for that, that'd be great, so I can keep in the loop.
I can ask my roommate what he can find, because he can find all kinds of weird junk and, you know, weird little scrolly things and messages and junk like that pops up. I'll see if he can maybe put together some messages for you to dig that up.
You mean like content or like actual hardware?
Content, just software stuff to find that you can just plug into a computer and spit out on a monitor.
Any, you know, whether it's Matrix or you know, like 1980s Star Wars or whatever, it's all good. Like vector graphic, shitty crap, anything that looks cool on the screen, it would be good.
Yeah, he's actually his screensaver is Matrix screen stuff. So.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks. Next, folks.
I think we're going to need to start volunteering who goes next.
Well, I'm putting people on the spot, so I don't want to volunteer anybody because I didn't tell them I was going to ask for updates from anybody, so they're potentially not prepared. I don't want to really put anybody on the spot.
Mine's pretty straightforward. It's we've had a lot of attrition of senior staff in my department, unfortunately, so trying to get that resolved. And otherwise, there's not really a lot for ops to share generally, except that if people, you know, need help getting a hold of people or have questions or get emails that don't apply to your department, make sure you send that over to me. That's pretty much all for us.
DJ, you want to say anything about video gaming? I don't know if there's really anything specifically you want to talk about, but
I could probably speak on John's behalf. I would assume that we just have to up our disinfection game, make sure everything's clean, get everything set up proper.
I do have some updates. We won't be running the traditional like game layout for consoles and whatnot. Everything will have to be checked out, all controllers. That way, things get wiped down and everything gets sanitized before and prior to use. So we will be needing a lot of sanitary wipes.
And I already got them purchased for you because I found a killer deal.
Fantastic.
Sounds good. For arcade, the shows that I've talked to and the one that I went to in Colorado, we were doing a wipe down of all touch surfaces every 2 hours and a full wipe down of everything at the end of every night.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me. I think that that meets up with or matches up with what a lot of businesses and such are doing. I think that matches up with what the casino does on the casino floor as well.
At the moment, we are compiling a list of games that are either released prior to convention or released at the moment that we can run tournaments for, so we can still have events going on in the game room. Of course, it is slow going because I've been lacking on purchasing some games, but as soon as October hits, I should have a better idea as to what times these tournaments will be happening and all that. So,
okay.
John, question for you, actually.
Answer for you.
Well, when should I get a list of games that I'm going to be contributing to you, or I guess for anyone that will be contributing hardware and software?
If you could do that as soon as possible, that'd be great.
Do you have an absolute deadline for that one?
We'll say the end of September. The end of September.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Not 20 September?
No, just
or 19 November.
The 30th of September.
Sorry, that was a rhythm gaming joke.
A Bamani, get it. I got it.
So, moving on. Levi, you got anything you want to talk about?
I already unmuted my mic. I had a feeling you were going to pick me. No, things are going well. We're just processing volunteer applications. We are discovering, and this I don't think this is really a surprise to many people, that we are getting a lot less people who are signing up as volunteers this year. So far, approximately as it's mentioned in the agenda, only about 75% of the people who have we've had in the previous have actually committed to reconfirming this year. If you have not done so already, please, if you know you're going to be making it this year, please go ahead if you and hit submit on your volunteer application again, just so we know you're coming. If you do know someone who might have in previous years have been on the fence about volunteering, absolutely talk to them about it again. Ask them about it. I had someone personally just recently who I thought would never volunteer, just suddenly was like, "I'm doing 20 hours, please." So you never know what can happen.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the year when we're going to need the help more than ever, because it doesn't look like attendance has really changed significantly. It looks like we probably have pretty much the same number of people showing up with only 3/4 of the number of volunteers to handle them.
Yep. As far as leads, if you do need information about who's in your department, all their particular details, I can generate reports for you. That's very easy for me to do. All you need to do is poke me. At some date here in the future, we are going to take those who have not confirmed, and we are going to delete them. I don't have a specific date for you yet, but when we do so, it will be announced far and wide. Aside from that, I think all of the volunteer applications, with aside from about 20 is I think the current number that are not processed. Most of them being 17. Staff or really specialized things. Okay, 17, that works too.
A lot of them are staff ones that need to get pushed over. One thing also for anybody that is considering putting in a volunteer app, please put in kind of your departments that you're interested in. We have gotten a few that are basically have nothing selective what you're even interested in. That makes our job a little bit harder. Go ahead and select things, a few extra departments even. It can make our lives a lot easier getting people to places.
Yeah. Doesn't that just mean those people are gophers?
That's exactly what that means. Or it means they go to wherever is needed, like the art show or Fursuit Lounge, or any number of places.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe that's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe that's what those people mean when they mark nothing. They specifically want you to put them wherever the greatest need is.
Yep. And I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of how many volunteers each department had in 2019, how many they had in 2018, how many they have total, who have committed, and generally I try to find the biggest need and fill it, to try and get you guys as close as possible to those 2019, 2018 numbers. If you kind of notice in the past that, hey, I was really, really understaffed, or hey, I was really, really overstaffed, let me know. I'm only good as the information I receive, and if you need more people, I am going to try and get them to you. A big push, as always, is crowd control, so that's where a lot of people go. For crowd control, we're actually looking fairly good this year. They have more so far than they did last year, for sure.
Levi, have you run the numbers again since we last talked on it?
Yeah, I'm not going to give specific numbers, but again, it goes to so far about 3/4 of our volunteers have confirmed.
So there are 2 questions from YouTube, if you're ready.
Yeah, sure. This is a good time for questions. We'll take a little break from leads to take questions.
Well, these are volunteer questions.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay.
Grovel Husky asks, I was curious myself where the most help was needed when volunteering.
That would be hands down crowd control.
Or I want to say that if you are not picky on departments, just put that in the notes at the bottom is probably actually the best thing. Instead of asking us where it's needed, just put in the notes at the bottom. I'm happy to go wherever.
Yeah,
that's probably the most useful.
And we do have some people who put that, and those typically will go. They're not all going to crowd control.
Yeah.
Crowd control. Sorry. It does require kind of a specific skill set. So we try to evaluate things before throwing anyone and everyone into that. But if you do have a preference too, or things you've done in the past, just mention them. Okay.
Yeah, and the second question is from Hyena Snack, and they say for someone who wants to volunteer but doesn't want a position where they'll be interacting with other attendees or less social positions, is that possible?
I'm gonna have to think about that and get back to you, because off the top of my head, I would say all positions to some extent interact with the public, except maybe EV
and logistics and load in and load out.
Yeah.
Well,
those are the two I can think of.
AV requires you interact with the AV people, which is sometimes an involved
AV
process.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably the least public-facing department I can think of would be logistics and load in, load out, for sure.
Which still involves interacting with a bunch of people, but
right. But at least not the public.
Yeah, I also can report for AV when you get to that.
I think that's about all I have, unless there are any other questions for me.
Before Kay goes, I'm going to take a short break to ask if anybody has questions about the updates on the quote-unquote agenda that I posted in there. If anybody has questions for me, of the stuff I mentioned in there.
Just out of curiosity, when you said that you have most of the sanitizing wipes going to video gaming, like, do you have a number or volume or weight?
So I ended up purchasing 156 packages. I purchased 13 cases of
Holy
sanitizing
macaroni.
wipes. So I don't know, about 100 packages with 72 wipes per package, or thereabouts.
I'm going to be real with you. That's excessive.
Okay, well, if that's excessive, then that's fine. Well, that'll free up more to go elsewhere. Right, but I think we have plenty, so that hopefully you guys will have all you could ever need. And, obviously don't waste them, but,
Right, we have to close them, make sure they don't dry out.
Yes, exactly. But other than that, yeah, I think you've got a lot to work with, and you can go ham on them.
Yeah, tell that to my roommates.
Well, we appreciate that.
I might also mention something I personally discovered near the beginning of the pandemic when I was running around giving out bandanas to people and dropping them off at doorsteps so that they'd have some kind of mask to work with. That wearing gloves wearing like latex, well, not latex, but nitrile gloves empowers you to go ham on the hand sanitizer without destroying your hands. Those two things can kind of work, in my opinion, and in my experience, can kind of work pretty well together in concert, so that you continue to re-sanitize the outsides of your hands without the destructive effects of alcohol hitting your hands over and over and over again. So gloves plus hand sanitizer might not be a bad idea in certain situations if you're going to be using it a lot, or you're going to be using it between people, like perhaps registration, that sort of thing. And then you just leave the gloves on and just sanitize the outside of them over and over again.
If your department is doing a lot of wiping down, it might be a good idea just to have gloves available for your department.
Yeah, that's true too. So that people can wear gloves while they're doing the wiping, so they hopefully don't destroy their hands too bad. Yeah, gloves is not a thing that I found a killer deal on, but we'll have to stock up on those still too.
As someone who got sick from isopropyl alcohol poisoning last month, yeah.
Ooh.
You're not supposed to drink that stuff, Kay.
Yeah, I was going to say...
I didn't drink any of it. I was inhaling it because I was making the DEF CON FIRS badges and using a lot of isopropyl alcohol.
Okay, so no other questions about the stuff on the updates? I'm gonna look over the updates one more time here and see if there's anything I forgot to mention.
While you look, I'll just... Oh, go ahead, Levi.
Just so much more so a comment adding to the list of high-touch surfaces would be the check-in, check-out kiosks at volunteer desk.
Oh, thank you.
Which usually is just 2 Chromebooks. So.
Okay.
And then I'll just say regarding the sanitizing stuff, especially like your own hands and so on. Obviously, we're not going to force everybody to wear gloves if that doesn't work for you, but also please keep in mind that washing your hands with soap and water in one of the hotel bathrooms is literally the best thing you can do. Obviously, you can't always get away to do that, and that's where hand sanitizer comes in. But the actual hand washing is number one, and there is nothing better.
Yep. And I put that in the notes there too for people to read, right under the stuff about hand sanitizing. But it ended up at the top of the page, so it might be a little harder to see. But yes, I specifically called that out, and I intend to put that in the volunteer handbook as well, to remind people that nothing beats hand washing and mask wearing. Everything else is gravy on top.
Did you say we're giving away free gravy?
I heard gravy.
Yes, there will be some ethanol gravy. There'll be a small bottle of ethanol gravy for each volunteer who wants one that you can keep in your pocket.
Yep. Also country style, not brown gravy.
Correct. Yeah, it's country style.
I was hoping we were going to get a chocolate fountain and just fill it up with that sweet country gravy.
That'll be at Reg for Morse.
Yeah.
Oh, just get one of those chocolate fountains and fill it full of hand sanitizer.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds delightful. Let's do it.
What were we saying about isopropyl alcohol poisoning? Let's just fumigate the whole Nevada room.
There are worse ways to go about sanitizing.
Get one of those little spray cooler things that shows a mist and has a fan going, but just have that spraying sanitizer out.
We did joke about that early until we decided that would probably kill people, so let's not do that.
Actually, I do have a question as far as killing people, or not necessarily so. What is the food and drink regulation around the different areas? Is it strictly forbidden?
It's kind of the same as before. My thinking there is, like, if somebody is going to be sitting down and eating their food or drink in the con space, that might even be arguably safer because the con space is nominally fully vaccinated versus a restaurant, which is not. So, I don't see any reason necessarily to alter people's behavior for food and beverage, other than maybe asking them to try to not sit shoulder to shoulder while they do it. I think the standard food and beverage, not in game room probably because of the potential for damaging things, and not in tabletop gaming for the same reason, but
and not in art show and dealers den and anywhere else you don't want people sitting down to eat.
Right.
That being said, should there be like designated areas, like this table for food and drink, or?
Yeah, at PAX they actually had designated areas just for food and drink.
I feel like it's actually better, at least if it's because the only place people really can't sit down and eat is Nevada Room, right? And I feel like it's better if we don't designate a certain area, just like spreading
because
it out.
That way they'll
like
be spread out more.
Better. Again, because it is all vaccinated and it's like.
And it's all airborne transmission, right? So having unmasked people further apart is better, actually. Yeah.
This does unfortunately mean we're going to have to do away with our very popular bobbing for chicken fingers.
Yes. In fact, Cody brings up a good point that I wanted to talk to you about. We need to start talking about a food menu for whatever we are going to serve in con space that restricts the food options down to only food that is can be containerized and be grab and go and does not have to come out of be scooped out of anything by anyone, including hotel staff. And also food that is not easily eaten with bare hands, so that people are encouraged to use a knife and fork to eat with instead of their bare hands. I'd like to try to do both those things this year.
Could you please involve me on that? Because I would like to talk about that.
Okay. Okay, that's not a discussion for right now. That's a discussion.
Yeah,
for,
no, that's why I'm not saying anything right now. I'm just saying
I would
like to be consulted before you make that decision.
Okay.
Oh, you mean like dispensers where you wave under it and it? I think so.
Yeah, there's supposed to be some. They have stocked up on those at the beginning of the pandemic, and last I heard that they agreed to place as many of those as they are able. But so I believe they are going to be providing like freestanding touchless hand sanitizer dispensers. And then on top of that, we have a whole bunch more pump bottles that I found because they were really cheap. So we're sitting on those too as a backup plan in case there isn't enough, or in case we just want them to be more conveniently available to people. Again, hand sanitizer isn't as good as washing your hands, but it's better than nothing.
Are we going to have at least one of those pump bottles tucked in the room behind ops there so people can refill the little hand-sized bottles?
Yes. Actually, well, I also have larger bottles that are specifically just for refill purposes too, because those were also a quarter.
Oh,
like,
dang.
Office Depot was selling all of them for 25 cents, including like quart-size bottles for 25 cents.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So I got a shitload. I don't so want to do that because that means we have to transport it back out again, and it might get mixed up with the hotel stuff if it looks similar. I think we're good with what we have, but thank you for the offer. I'm just worried about it not making its way back into your hands in the chaos.
Hey, Teco, who's new Susie?
John Canton, who is actually old Susie.
Oh, so we're back to old Susie. Okay, I got to get to know this guy too.
Yep. And Amenephis, yeah, if you want to bring your dispenser, if you're not concerned about what happens to it, sure, go ahead. Like, I'm not going to say no. I can't make any promises about how well it will survive. And yeah, there will still be food available in con space. We basically have to do that to be able to meet our food and beverage minimum. And it gets more people. I actually want to do it because it gets more people out of the restaurants and out of those places where they're taking their mask off when they're surrounded by 15 or so % unvaccinated people, and instead of taking their mask off where they're surrounded by less than one.
I know we're not talking.
We're not what? Oh, you disappeared, Blizz. Or I disappeared.
No, I can't hear them either.
It's Blizz.
Okay. Well, while Blizz resets his setup or whatever, I'll remind again about signs and posters. I don't know. I haven't talked to Dax and Latte lately. I don't know how many people have reached out to them, but there is a place where they appear to be tracking their work, and I haven't seen a lot of change there. So if you can think of other stuff that other large format signage or prints that you might need for your department, please reach out to them soon, because they got to get that process started. That stuff doesn't happen overnight.
But like a 20-foot by 50-foot banner that says "Reg is this way."
Is it going to stretch all the way to registration?
I'll just basically from the office window all the way down across the doors to the escalators.
Okay.
This way to the
flashing lights, klaxons.
If you really wanted to make something like this, you could just take cardboard and have somebody paint it, like 2 or 3 people paint it and make it look like some sci-fi thing.
Can we do like the Stanley Parable yellow line?
It is actually the Stanley Parable yellow line would be hilarious, but they would get very angry at us for putting spike tape down in the hallway. We have done it in the past in emergency situations and peeled it back up as soon as we could, but they still weren't very happy with it. That said, I should note that anything that's going to be in a public space cannot be handmade. It must be professionally printed. Anything that's inside con space is fair game. That can be handmade all we want. But if it's in a public hallway, it has to be professionally printed and it has to be cleared with the GSR first. That's another reason why we need to get these things, these signage and posters and such figured out soon. Because if they're in a public space, the GSR has to have an opportunity to see them and say no. Or they might just say no when we try to put them up, and that would be bad. Okay, it sounds like maybe it's time for the next department lead to chime in, if you are ready.
This is Kay. I'll go for AV. As far as I can tell, and as far as Ratchet is expressed, and as far as I can tell from Liko, who is currently somewhere with very, very, very slow internet, things are converging as expected. We've gotten the orders in that we need to get in. I'm sure lighting is reorganizing things for this 76th time, but there's no fires as far as I can tell.
Okay, well, I mean, we like AV not being on fire. That's good. Well, unless it came from Felix lighting, and then maybe that would be okay. But sorry, I really should stop being salty about that. It's been years now.
You can be salty. I have heard Bill Pearson, who is from the company that did or does MFF's AV, about companies he's salty about for things that happened in the 70s.
Oh, okay. Long memory, huh?
The long haul.
All right, well, sounds like AV is, the typical dull roar, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Who's next, Verda? Okay.
Just again, do we have any photos of the tables or anything like that? I might need to rig stuff on the table, so I would like to know how the legs are, that kind of stuff.
No, I don't have any photos of tables to hand. We could probably find some if you just dig through old BLFC photos that random people have taken. Now they probably don't. They're probably all covered. Josie, maybe you could grab some pictures of naked tables the next time you're there, since you're going to be there pretty soon. If you're going to be there talking to Dave Forbes anyway.
Which tables? I'm sorry.
Like tables that we...
Just any miscellaneous tables they have. Just get some pictures of how they're constructed, so Amenephis knows how they're built.
In the Nevada room, or just where?
They use the same tables everywhere. So any space that has happens to have tables in it for whatever the next thing is going to be, or the previous thing was that they haven't torn down yet.
Yeah, I'll be walking around on Monday, so I'll get some pictures.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you'll see either rectangular tables that are 6 feet or possibly 8 feet long, and you'll see round tables. And those are really the two primary types of tables they have. So a few detailed photos of those for Amenephis would be perfect.
Really quick, I have one thing. Tycho Verda, is there any objection for me to sharing the numbers from the survey we sent out? Like not the particulars, but just numbers.
I mean, you can just share the general results. I don't think the numbers matter at this point, unless
I didn't think so
would rather
either.
not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So thank you to everyone we recently sent out a survey to both department leads and staff. Just a quick survey for 2022 to get a gauge on how willing people were for 2022. The response was overwhelming. With over 100 responses, 98% of you said yes. For leads, it was 100%. So that is awesome.
And what was the contents of the survey?
It essentially just said, it was just, are you willing and able to turn right around and do another con in 2022, 7 months from now?
in our normal time
it was a
slot.
1-question survey.
Yeah.
And yes, the reason I had to get that answer now is because we have a contract that is in imminent need of signing by the end of this month. So unfortunately I can't wait until after this con is over to get a better feel for how people feel about returning. We have to make the decision now.
Well, we can wait, but if we wait, we are less guaranteed of having the slot. The hotel
I
can't
guess that's
force us to sign anything, but
that's true.
But yeah, if we want to continue having our normal time slot in the future, the hotel would like us to commit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's important to keep that relationship healthy.
I'll have to bounce here, but I do have another question. I guess as far as general attendance is concerned, how are we denoting people that are vaccinated versus a negative test and the appropriate disability?
We are specifically not.
Yeah, I can also
Go ahead,
jump in
Bruno.
on that since I'm handling it. Basically, yeah, there's no differentiation. There's no requirement for there to be one. I'm not going to give exact numbers, but I can tell you it's an extremely small number currently.
Okay. Well, it's more like, do we watch wristbands or anything like that?
No. We are not. The only time we would have to do that is if we were going with the governor's, frankly, ill-thought-out executive order, in my opinion, that allows events to go without masks. Otherwise, there's no requirement for it, and we don't feel that it would be beneficial.
Understood. That's really all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Maybe in June, it'll be in a better situation where having everybody vaccinated, no exceptions, and having masks off will be great, but maybe it won't be. We're definitely not going to commit to that at this time. The governor's order is really bad, in my opinion, because it basically says you have to be vaccinated to go to things, but we'll allow you to come if you're not actually protected because you just got the shot today.
Yeah, that thing the governor signed recently allows a person to attend an event if they got vaccinated, like right then and there, right before the event.
Only with the first dose, too.
Yeah, and they only have to have their first dose. They do have to keep their mask on, but it allows them to I showed up to this event that I didn't know needed vaccination. Well, you can get vaccinated right now at that pop-up clinic right over there. Oh, okay, I guess I'll go do that.
Which offers zero protection.
Which offers zero protection, but it does at least get more people vaccinated. So there's that, I suppose. But yeah, it doesn't really bode well with the concept of trying to protect people. But that's getting political, and I don't want to do that right now. So moving on.
Are there any other questions from YouTube?
I've got to head out. Thanks, folks.
Take care, Morse.
Thank you, Morse.
The question from YouTube is, how will registration work to get our badges? What steps will we have to do?
I could actually kind of talk about that since Morse left if you want.
Or I can. My understanding is that the plan is to just have an extra checkpoint in the queue where we check that a person has their vaccine credentials in order, and then from that point they're allowed to move on to getting their badge. And that's basically it. We just push everybody through a single checkpoint where they have to do that.
To cut off any questions or concerns about people skipping around, we have stuff to handle it, and we're not going to tell you publicly. So until the con, so please don't ask. Because the more we say up front, the more likelihood that a couple people are going to try and get around it. So yeah, you'll have to present stuff. Stuff will be checked. Then you'll go up to a person who will, give you your badge. It's honestly not very different from normal, except for that one extra step.
Another question from YouTube. Was it posted anywhere on when early badge pickup starts for Thursday?
I don't know if it's officially posted anywhere yet. There actually is no early badge pickup on Thursday. Thursday is just full registration is open. The early pickup is on Wednesday, and that is for patron sponsor only. And I think we typically start that around 8 p.m. and run that until 10 or so. I could look at the website. I think the website may still say it.
It may or may not be the.
It may or may not be accurate
from the from like the last time we had planned stuff.
Yeah, but it's probably not really going to change. Yeah, it said 7 to 10 p.m. and that still sounds reasonable. I don't see any real reason to change that. That's probably likely to be the actual time that it will be available. And again, that's patron sponsor and Epic only. And pending what Levi has to say, probably volunteer pickup as well.
We typically try to soft open on Wednesday, typically as soon as we're set up. And we have gophers and people ready who are willing to take IDs and kind of process everything. It'll probably be a little later this year because I want to really make sure that everyone's thoroughly trained on what to look for. But aside from that, I think we should be good on Wednesday. We'll put out an announcement when we're ready.
Cool. Thank you.
I guess just as a note for anybody listening, if you do have questions about, hey, this is my document for vaccination, will this be okay? I have this problem. What do I do? Please email us at vax@goblfc.org. That email is for all vaccine-related stuff and nothing else. If you need anything else, please use the contact form on the website to get to the right department. But as far as any questions, if it's like, hey, we have I've had one person be like, what was it called? The pharmacy who did my thing put a gigantic sticker over the front of my CDC card, and then had to scribble in the corners and stuff. It's like, is this okay? And they can send me a picture, and they can send us a picture, and we can check it over. So if somebody has any particular concerns, that's where you want to go. That's again vax@goblfc.org. But moving on, are there any other leads who want to say stuff? Again, it's not required.
I have a small request of the leads that are in the room. When schedules are created, please make sure that I get a copy as well for HR. Every year, it happens without fail. We will always get volunteers at the desk who go, I don't know where to go, I don't know who to talk to, I don't know when I'm supposed to work. Can you please help me? And it makes things 100 times easier if we can pull up your schedule and just say, okay, it looks like you're supposed to be there at this time. However, you should probably go talk to this person at this place, because schedules, as we all know, can and do change very rapidly.
Hopefully my push to talk will work now. I will weigh in really quickly for media. We've had a few requests that have come in. I've approved one. The other one I'm waiting on final return information from them. And so far it's been quiet, but I expect a rush here within the next couple weeks.
Did anybody else have any questions?
We had a question from YouTube. Salem LD Productions says, I have some concerns about wearing a mask inside a fursuit head, especially for any of the dance events. Isn't it going to raise the risk of people passing out or getting heat exhaustion or worse? I can relay that I've done that, and it's like, it didn't seem to me like it was really impacting me that much, although I would not run or dance wearing a mask, but some people might be able to.
Just to add to that, we do understand that everybody's ability level is different, but in this event, the mask is required. There has been some thought about that, and all we can really do is provide places to rest and encourage people to get water, and ask that if you do feel that you are not comfortable doing that amount of activity in a fursuit while wearing a mask, that you'll just have to, try and tone down that activity this year. That's basically how we have to do it so that we can keep everybody safe and have the event at all. It's not perfect. Obviously, we'd all like to not have to deal with the pandemic at all, but that is the reality of the situation, and there will not be any exceptions. So.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say pretty much the same thing. It's like, it sucks. I don't like it, but I think it's a necessity right now. And you're just going to have to adjust what kind of fursuiting you do and how much of it you do based on your particular capabilities. And I, for one, probably won't be doing any fursuiting at all this year, for example. But I'd rather forego fursuiting this year and still get to see my friends. Or at least most of my friends. I guess I can't really see their faces, but yeah. And I want to reiterate that mask wearing seems to be like the most crucial thing for slowing the spread. That this is personal and anecdotal stories, but like every friend of mine that I can think of that has not gotten COVID are people that I know are fastidious and diligent about wearing masks whenever they're out in public spaces. Even friends of mine that have public-facing jobs that have to work with the public all day long that have managed to not get COVID. I can only assume that it's because they've been good about wearing masks all the time. And conversely, anybody I know that has gotten COVID has gotten it either because they let their guard down and they were unmasked at some point, or they caught it from a member of their family where they're in their own household unmasked with other members of their family, which, I mean, you can only mask so much, so that's a little bit more understandable. But those are the only two ways I can think of any friend I have that has gotten COVID.
So we have another question from YouTube. Striker Husky asks, does anyone know when the panels list will be up?
I know the panels guy is working on it, but they're a little short-staffed this year, so they're trying their hardest. It's going to be a bit, though. Probably still a couple of weeks. I know I plan to try to step in here shortly and see if there's anything I can do to help them speed that process along.
Yeah, unfortunately, more than most, it does seem that a lot of times the even people applying for panels, there's always some last minute, and everybody like rushing at the end, being like, "Oh, I could do a panel," and it's like, "Thank you," but we now have to put all of this together.
Yep.
And it is a big scheduling thing. It does take some time, unfortunately.
That is 100% correct.
I think we've probably gone through all the leads who want to say stuff, I would assume.
Except you, I think, maybe.
No, I went earlier.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was very short because it's ops, and ops is basically like, if you need stuff, please ask me. And then I just mentioned that we've unfortunately lost a lot of our senior staff.
Unless there's anything else, I think that's about it. There you
go. Yeah, I think so. if there's no further questions, I'm going to call it a meeting and remind people that we do have another meeting in a few weeks that is off of the normal, that does not meet the normal schedule. I'm doing one last meeting on October 8th, when I hope to be able to present information in the attendee handbook, or sorry, the volunteer handbook, and some other critical like safety information, like what should we do if there's a building evacuation, or what procedures we have in place if we have to deal with a person who's refuses to put their mask on, that kind of thing. Hopefully we'll have that information ready by then. So that's intended to be sort of an all hands crucial information that every volunteer should know regardless of what department they're in. And it's basically just going to be going over the volunteer handbook primarily. And if you haven't read the volunteer handbook lately, now would be a great time to do that again. And you know what? I will pop a link to that here in the.
As you say, we'll probably be revising it a bit, but
yeah, but it wouldn't hurt to read it now. You'll want to look at it again, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to look at it now. Yeah, it hasn't been modified since. Oh well, yeah. Hasn't been modified since June 27th, it says. At least that's of this year, not last year.
The modification being like, oh shoot, I clicked on the wrong one.
Probably, yeah.
Close file, open other file.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that was me. I don't know what you're talking about. I deny these allegations.
So yes, do please look through the volunteer guidebook. We have some info in there. There's also some departments have an instruction document for their department that are also publicly viewable and in the same folder as this volunteer guidebook. Some departments have not created any instructions for their own department. There's placeholder documents for them.
Or it's not public.
Yeah.
Like my ops document doesn't go out to everybody.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, there's also lots every department has plenty of private documents too, but there's one placeholder document for every department that is designed to be a public document that all volunteers can look at without needing any kind of login for general instructions. So hopefully a volunteer can hit the ground running pretty fast when they reach any particular department.
We'll probably tidy that up at some point after call.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, that reminds me, the C3 is in process now, right, Verta?
Oh yeah.
C3 application.
Yeah.
So that's in process, and they said what, approximately 6 months.
Nobody hold your breath. No, it's approximately 6 months before somebody will look at it.
Oh yeah, before somebody will look at it.
Yeah, the way it works is right now it says submit your application, give us the money, fill out all the forms, and then if you don't hear from us in 6 months, go ahead and contact us. If you haven't heard from us anytime before that, please leave us alone. We have a lot of people to work through.
Government, or is that?
That's the IRS. That is the habitually underfunded IRS.
Well, the habitually underfunded and working through a year and a half of backlog IRS.
Yeah.
So even worse than usual because COVID.
Yep.
Put a stall on them for months.
Yeah.
Actually, last summer they processed one that I'm now a part of pretty darn quickly. So I maybe they're not as bad.
Was it a new?
Yes, it was a new 501c3.
That's why.
Did the
new process is way faster than the process for an existing organization. The form is way easier, and they can just blow through them.
Yeah, basically.
Did they what?
But we'll get it someday, and that will give us access to several things, including Google Suite. Or should give us access to that, so that we can start having better management.
Let's just say that
documents
once it happens. Let's just say that once it happens, we'll be able to make some improvements. But it's kind of too far away to really promise anything.
Right. Yeah. Let's
just leave it at
good chance that won't be ready for 2022 convention.
There's almost no chance that it will be ready for 2022.
You mean all of the AV documents will stop consuming space on my Google Drive?
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
No, I can't promise that. That's AV is its own special world.
But yeah, I think that's everything. I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about the COVID situation. Knock on wood, don't want to jinx it. I will just say that it looks reasonable now and hopefully improving.
You can.
So.
I've put the link to the dashboard in the meeting text channel, and anyone that wants to open that up and glare at it intensely, they can do that.
That's the Washoe County dashboard.
Yeah.
The COVID dashboard, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to keep an eye on the national numbers too, because our convention does bring people from all over the country. Probably not all over the world this year, it sounds like, but it does bring people from all over the U.S. And so, and I will say that only last I checked, which was a couple years ago, only 7% of BLFC attendance comes from what I would call local. And that local is very generous. That stretches all the way out to Fallon and Fernley and Truckee and Gardnerville and South Lake Tahoe. Like that's a big stretch to call somebody local. And even when I stretched it out that far, it only came up 7% of attendance. So the vast majority of people that are attending BLFC are not local. And so I think it's more reasonable to say they are at least West Coast, if not nationwide.
Yeah, the concerns I've heard were like the other people in the casino and the staff and whatever and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why it is still important to look at the Washoe County dashboard too, because there is exposure to locals when you're anywhere other than in con space.
I'm aware of like 24 Canadians that are going to come if they open the border on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm holding out hope that they can come, but I also have some confidence in government's ability to keep things under control and to prevent people from traveling if it's too dangerous.
I hear there's one furry up in Bellingham that has a commercial pilot's license that might get a lot of business if the border doesn't open.
God, I don't really want to hear about that. No, just I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say for both you all, that's probably enough speculating on different things, please.
Yeah. Cautiously optimistic. That'll be the limit of my speculation. How about that? And with that, I thank everybody for coming. I thank everybody for being careful and safe and trying to keep yourself from getting sick. And I hope I get to see you in about a month.